Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com and the Big Four Accounting Firms YouTube channel. Before we get started, just wanted to remind everybody to support us if you have a chance or if you can. Even $1 helps, and we have a link in the description to a website called Buy Me a Coffee. It's just a way to donate to us and support us. Again, any amount is helpful so that we can keep putting out content. And there's also other ways for you to support us in the show notes to this podcast or on YouTube in the description. In today's podcast, we're going to be discussing the year-end results for BDO. Now, BDO is not a Big Four accounting firm, but they are a large accounting firm, as you will see. Now, for the fiscal year 2020, BDO just reported $10.3 billion in revenue for their fiscal 2020 year, and this represents a 7.8% increase in revenue from 2019. And the number of employees increased to 91,000 employees worldwide, even during the pandemic. Now, in 2019, they had a 10% increase in revenue, and they had 88,000 employees. So this is still pretty good results, but they're a smaller accounting firm, so they should be having more growth. But they have just about the same amount of growth as the Big Four accounting firms. Now let's review their regions. They grew the most in the Americas by 7.7%. Their next fastest growing region was EMEA, which is Europe, Middle East, and Africa, and the revenues there grew by 6.2%. Asia was their next fastest growing region at 4.1%. And those are the three regions that BDO tracks. Now, if you look at the regions by percentage of revenue that they account for, Asia Pacific accounts for 12.1% of their revenues around the world. The Americas accounted for 53.2% of the revenues around the world, and EMEA accounted for 34.7% around the world. And this is pretty consistent with the Big Four accounting firms. And even though everybody talks about how fast Asia is growing, you can still see that the Americas region is a big region for the Big Four accounting firms and even the mid-tier accounting firms. Now let's cover the lines of service for BDO. Audit accounted for 42% of the revenue for BDO, but tax is growing for BDO, and their revenues accounted for 21.6% of BDO's revenue around the world. Advisory accounted for 21.1% of BDO's revenue, while business services and outsourcing accounted for 15.3% of BDO's revenue. And another thing that BDO used in this press release is they're using a lot more branding terms similar to the Big Four accounting firms. They said that they are rethinking innovation, and I was wondering what this meant. I was wondering if it was a new term for COVID, but basically what this just means is they're moving their focus towards technology and less towards physical locations and physical audit evidence, etc. This is what all the Big Four accounting firms are doing as well. They're moving towards automation and technological solutions. And it took them all a while to figure it out, but now they're all here, and the mid-tier accounting firms are doing this as well. And they also said they had to rethink their power of people. And this means that they are still hiring during the pandemic. But we will see how long this lasts, if they have to lay people off or if they keep hiring the same. I'm sure as revenues decrease or stay the same, they'll hire less. And the last thing that they mentioned in here is that they are a purpose-driven organization. And I'm not sure what purpose that is other than revenue, but the Big Four accounting firms and the mid-tier accounting firms all say this, that they have a purpose, but they don't really clearly define their purpose. And when you join the accounting firms, they have a lot of different purposes. They have a value set, but how those are executed on a day-to-day basis and by the partners differs based on the partner you're working for and the region you're in. But this is all good information to know if you're going to be interviewing with the Big Four accounting firms or mid-tier accounting firms. You need to know all these terms. You need to know the regions in case you want to get a job. For example, if you're trying to get a job, but you want to get a job in the Asia Pacific region, but you're one of hundreds of thousands of applicants, then you have to realize that Asia Pacific isn't a huge region for them. And BDO is not growing that much in the Asia Pacific region. You might want to look towards moving to another region. And you also have to realize that At the accounting firms, audit is growing less. Even though it's the largest branch for all of the accounting firms, it's moving. Tax and consulting are larger and larger as time goes on due to increased regulations. So that's just something to keep in mind. And as you analyze the big four accounting firms and the mid-tier accounting firms' financial releases, you need to pay attention to these and learn them if you're going to analyze your career, plan your career out, and figure out where you want to land within the accounting firms. So that's the update for today. To get future updates, make sure to subscribe to this podcast. If you can, financially support us through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the show notes to this podcast. That helps us put out more content and will help us build a better website. And if you can't do that, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video on our YouTube channel. Thanks for listening.